Well, hi there, food friends. It's Kevin.
And Marianne behind the camera.
And welcome to Cavalcade of Food and Mare. We are making today a dish from our childhood, Maltese baked macaroni. Here's the Maltese name, Imqarrun il-Forn. I hope I said it right. My Maltese isn't great, but I'm working on it. But Maltese baked macaroni, Marianne, I don't know if you remember having this at Grandma and Grandpa's house on 11th Street when we were kids. Grandma would make this, but you know who else would make it? Aunt Sylvia would make this.
And Carol.
And Carol would make it. Our sweet cousin Carol. Look what she made for me. Isn't that great? I love you, Carol. Thank you. And, you know, I thought, okay, let's do another Maltese dish. And this is in part in honor of Uncle Bob and our sweet cousins, Robbie and Carol and everybody else. So the Maltese side of the family. Anyways, we're going to make this. And what we're going to do first, Mare, it's basically a baked macaroni. I've got one large onion here, diced up, and I'm going to had 2 tablespoons of olive oil in the pan there, Mare, and we are just going to saute these onions up here in the olive oil. We want to get them kind of golden brown and softened, okay? So we're going to, let me get a spoon rest here. So, again, a diced onion and a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to make a nice, simple sauce. And once the onions have done their thing, and that reminds me, how about a little salt and pepper?
That would help.
That would help, because you know what? We season as we go, right?
Right.
And we'll put that in there. Okay, so once the onion is where I want it, like I said, brown, lightly golden and soft, I've got 2 cloves of garlic here minced up. That's going to go in the pot. Then we have some meat. I have a half a pound of ground round. You could use ground chuck if you wanted to, or if you wanted it leaner, you could use ground sirloin. I've got half a pound of ground round and a half a pound of ground pork. Okay? So we've got a pound of meat split between beef and pork. And then we're going to add a little tomato paste. So a 14-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. And again, it is it's really a casserole. It's a baked pasta, Mare. Is this ringing a bell with you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I thought it would.
And I remember it being delicious.
Yes, it was always a treat. And I'm going to tell you, I haven't had this in years. So I'm looking forward to it. Then, again, it's a baked pasta. So here's our sauce. And then we're going to add some eggs, some freshly grated Parmesan cheese, about a half a cup. And then I've got a half a pound here, Mare, of Edam cheese, E-D-A-M. And this is a very mild milk cheese that's going to go on the top and get nice and brown and bubbly. Okay? If you can't find Edam, you could use like a mild cheddar would be okay as well. And then I'm going to cook some pasta. You need a pound of pasta. I'm using ziti here, but you could, because I kind of like that in this dish, but you could use penne, you could use rigatoni if you wanted to. Basically, we're looking for a tube kind of a pasta, all right? And so I'm going to keep an eye on our onions. They're starting to soften. They're starting to brown here. And we'll kind of keep this going. This is smelling good already, if I'm honest. And then we'll come back and start putting the other ingredients together. So we're having a little taste of our childhood here with Maltese baked macaroni. So Mira, I don't know if you can see here, but the onions are just turning a nice light golden brown, and they're nice and soft. So I'm going to take my 2 cloves of garlic, and we're going to put those in. Now, I don't put the garlic in with the onions because the garlic cooks a lot more quickly. And if you've ever eaten anything that had burnt garlic in it, it's not good. It's very bitter, and so garlic is easy to burn when you're sautéing. So you kind of always want to put the garlic in, you know, before you start adding other ingredients, so it doesn't get overdone. Now, can you smell the garlic, Mare?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what that means is when you can start to smell the garlic and it's fragrant, it's time to put in the meat. So we've got our 1/2 pound of ground round, thank you, and 1/2 pound of ground pork. And what we're going to do is we're going to get these. We basically want to brown the meat with the onions. We want the meat to be kind of in small pieces. So we're going to get to it and try to kind of mix the meat together here with the onion and get the meat browned. So this will take a good 7-10 minutes, I don't know, to get the meat browned up and kind of apart here. And so we'll do that. I'll get a few things washed up, and we'll come back and put in the sort of the last part of our sauce. All right, so everybody, I'm going to be talking to Wally, my brother, because Marianne had to go and do something else, and so thank you, brother, for working the camera.
Yeah, hello everyone.
And all right, so I've got the meat browned. Okay, I had a 1/2 pound of ground round and a 1/2 pound of ground pork. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in about 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. 1, 2, and we'll call that 3. And I like to use the tomato paste in the tube. You don't have to, but it's handy when you just need a small amount and you don't want to open a whole can. So I also like to cook this raw tomato paste. When you put a tomato paste in, it helps to sort of let it warm up and cook a little bit and kind of get that raw flavor out before you add anything else. So that's why I'm just stirring that tomato paste in. And of course, not only does tomato paste add a lot of flavor, but it also helps to thicken it up because it's really concentrated.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's the contents of the tube making tomato paste?
Yeah, they basically just grind tomatoes down and take all the water out of it, okay? And then you're left with really the essence of the tomato. So it's like super tomato-y.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what tomato paste is.
No spices.
There's nothing. It might have some tomato paste might have a little salt in it, but that would be really the only thing. Okay, so now the tomato paste is in and it's cooked. Now I've got a 15-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. All right, I'm going to put that in there. And then I don't know if you remember what Mom, whenever Mom would empty a can of anything, especially something tomato, she'd have to rinse it a little bit. Because there's always a little residual in the can.
Yeah, no waste. No waste.
And so that's going to go in. Marianne and I were talking, Wally, and you probably, and I mean, because you are the oldest, so you probably out of all of us, probably have a better recollection of this dish, having it at Grandma and Grandpa's over on 11th Street.
Yep.
And other times we were talking about how Aunt Sylvia made this, and
Right.
Our cousin Carol made it.
Yep.
But the first time I remember having this was at Grandma and Grandpa's.
Yes.
For, I don't know, maybe it was a holiday or maybe it was just us all getting together.
Yeah, I can remember Grandma taking it out of the oven in that little kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that kitchen was, it was tiny.
Yeah.
But it was always amazing how, our mom and our grandmothers, the amount of food they could turn out of these little kitchens, when they had a house full of people.
All right.
Okay, so you know what? It's simmering away. I'm going to turn this on to low. That's our sauce.
Mm-hmm.
It's just onions, garlic, sauteed in a little olive oil, the half a pound of ground beef, a half a pound of ground pork, the tomato paste, and a can of the crushed tomatoes. That's it. And I'm going to put a little bit more S&P in here because as we go, we like to season. So we'll stir that in.
Okay.
Sauce is done. I'm going to cover it, and we're going to let that simmer. Oh, it doesn't need to simmer a long time, probably 15 to 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But while it's doing that, I'm going to bring up to boil a pot of water, which I've got almost ready there. And by the way, I want to tell people this is the stove we just installed a couple of weeks ago, and I have been using it and loving it. The 1968 General Electric.
There you go.
In the avocado green.
Nice.
This really, really good stove. I've got the oven preheated to 350 degrees. Now, again, I'm using ziti.
Right.
You could use any kind of tube pasta, penne, rigatoni, whatever. I like ziti in this dish.
Yep.
You could even use an elbow macaroni if that's what you had on hand.
Yeah.
And here's our water to the up to a boil. Now we know that whenever we cook pasta, we like to put a little salt in the water. We got to flavor up the pasta a little bit. But you don't want to cook the pasta past al dente. Matter of fact, you want to keep it a little underdone. Because remember, we're going to put all this together and it's going to bake off in the oven for, a half an hour. So the pasta is going to get, if you overcook the pasta now, it's going to be really mushy and soft, and we don't want that. We want it soft, but we don't want it mushy.
Right.
So we're going to just cook it to, like I said, just underdone a little bit here. So I'm going to put that in. We'll give it a stir. And by the time the pasta's done and drained, we'll be about ready to add our sauce and then get this bad boy in the oven. Okay?
And how often do you stir it in the pot?
I probably do it about the first 4 or 5 minutes. I stir it frequently.
Okay.
Because that's when it's more apt to stick.
Yep.
Now, some people will put oil in the water.
Yes.
Not really. For most applications, you shouldn't do that because the starch that comes out of the noodle is what helps the sauce stick to the noodle.
Sure.
And if your noodles are really slick and slippery, ain't nothing going to stick to it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And we like a little sauce on our noodle, don't we?
Yes.
Yes, they tell them,
Yeah.
brother. So you know what? We're gonna. I'm gonna bring this down, but as the pasta begins to boil, this is when it's most apt to kind of stick together.
Yeah.
So I'll give it just a couple of little swishes there around the pot. And I'm going to guess this is probably going to need to cook for, 8, 9 minutes, something like that.
Right.
I'll test it. I really, I take a piece out and I actually taste it.
Yeah.
And that's really the only way I've ever found to really kind of know if if it's done. Some people can tell by squeeze. I can't. I gotta actually bite it. So,
Okay.
Anyway, so we're in good shape here. We'll come on back when it's time to just get the pasta sauced up.
Sounds good.
All right. All right, Wally. Here is the sauce.
Well, I'm getting hungry just smelling it.
I know, boy. I mean, this is it, right? I mean, I'd be good with this right here.
Imagine a house full of 30 Maltese waiting for this to be done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And that's just how it was.
Right.
But always worth the wait. So, I've got our ziti cooked and drained. Okay, so that's done.
Yep.
And I drained it, and then I put it back in the pot that it cooked, because you could put this in a bowl, but why dirty another thing?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now let me get some pot holders here, because I'm going to take this sauce and we're going to put it into the pasta. And of course, we want all of it, don't we?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you too, Kevin.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed, but you've been interchanging how you pronounce tomato.
Yeah.
And
Did I say
tomato?
tomato with an A?
That's how we like to hear it.
Yeah, tomato.
Yes.
Tomato, tomato, right?
Right.
So we've got the tomato sauce, and we're going to mix that in to the ziti, and we're going to get that nice and incorporated. Now again, Wally, I've got the oven preheated to 350.
Okay.
And we are going to, when we get this done, we're going to transfer it to a 9x13 baking dish. All right? Okay. So that's done. Now, here's kind of the part of this that makes it different from other baked pastas or baked zitis. You know, when you have something, say, that's more Italian, it generally has more sauce, it's more tomatoey, but it often doesn't have this. So I've got 4 eggs here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to beat these eggs. Show them who's boss. And then what I've got, Wally, I've got a half a cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. That's going to go right in there, okay? And we're going to mix that in with the eggs.
That's unusual, I think. I'm not a cook, but I don't see that too often.
No, it is. It's really something really unique. Then we're going to take this and we're going to gradually put this in to our pasta.
Now, is that called folding it in?
Well, folding is when you kind of come up from the bottom and pull over and turn the pot at the same time.
I see.
I am kind of keeping it in motion. Here's the other thing. You want to make sure that your eggs are at room temperature, and we're putting in a little at a time, because we wouldn't want the eggs to, the pasta's warm and that sauce we put in is warm.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't want to have scrambled eggs in here. What we want the eggs to coat everything. The eggs are going to cook in the oven when this thing bakes, and it's going to help not only bind everything together, it's going to really give us a nice richness to the pasta that it would not have without the eggs. And then, of course, you got the cheese in there, and there's nothing wrong with that. So we're going to get all that in there. All right. So that's in. Oh, it smells so good. Okay. So now it's pretty much done. We got our 9x13, which I've sprayed with like a pan, a PAM, a non-stick baking spray. And we're just going to put it in. And I think you'll find that a 1 pound pasta will fit just about perfect in a 9 by 13. And again, we get every bit of it out of this pot here and into our baking dish.
That bothers me when I watch a cooking show and the chef doesn't scrape the bowls.
No, they just like dump it and there's all kinds of stuff left in. They just put it off to the side and you're like, what?
Right.
You know, I even wonder if they even eat it when it comes out of the oven.
Yeah.
This is getting eaten.
Yeah.
Let's not make any mistake about that.
Right.
Okay. So we've got that in. Now, what I've got here is I've got a 1/2 pound of Edam, E-D-A-M cheese. And I'm going to put this on the top. This is a very mild cow's milk cheese. And if you can't find Edam, not everybody has it, you could use any kind of mild melty cheese.
Okay.
A mild cheddar, a Munster, something like that would be fine.
And you shredded it yourself.
I did.
Yeah.
I've never seen Edam cheese pre-shredded, and I have to say, pre-shredded cheese can be really convenient, but honestly, they put a lot of additives into the cheese to keep it from sticking and clumping.
Yeah.
And when you grate cheese from a block, it actually, to me, tastes a lot better. You know, again, it's not always practical. Sometimes to have a the pre-shredded stuff is just handy.
Yeah.
But there was no other option with this Edam cheese, so here we go. All right, so that's on top. So I'm going to put it in the center rack in our oven. And, we probably, you know, want to have it go for about 35 minutes. And basically, you just want everything to cook through, and you want that cheese on top to melt, and beyond just melting, to start to brown on the top. And you'll see that you'll have some little crispy parts sort of around the edge.
I know Uncle Frank used to claim the whole rim around the
That was
the
his?
crispy. He had to have that.
And it does have a great, that there's something about that kind of crusty, almost burnt cheese taste that is really out of this world. So anyways, we'll come on back when it's time to get it out.
Okay, can't wait.
Okay, Wally, it has been about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think, oh yeah, man.
That's perfect.
Huh? This is what I'm talking about here.
Boy.
All right.
Enough said.
Enough said. Dinner is served. Actually, you need to give it a few minutes just to kind of, you know, whenever you serve a lasagna or any kind of baked pasta, it helps to give it a few minutes to just kind of set up. Because sometimes when it's really just, you know, scalding hot out of the oven, it can sometimes come apart a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, because like, especially with cheese and things like that, things aren't necessarily, it's all still a little loosey-goosey. But, Wally, we're going to serve that with some, I got some nice rolls here.
Yep.
And rolls and butter, because, I mean, I know we got pasta, but you still got to have bread.
That's
right?
Right.
And we got some peas and carrots.
Okay.
So, let's see. I'm gonna risk it.
So now, what would you say? What did the 4 eggs do to this dish?
Well, nothing that you can see on the top, because
No.
this is just that wonderful cheese.
Yeah.
But what the 4 eggs did will reveal itself more on the cut here.
Okay.
It kind of helped bind everything together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Look at that. And of course it just adds a richness to it.
Yeah.
And we got a couple of Uncle Frank pieces
I
here.
see that.
The real crusty. Now I need to get the right tool for the job. Fork.
Now I may have missed something, but I see you have a new little feature on your apron.
Oh, you know what? I showed this to Mary Ann.
Oh, did you?
At the beginning.
Okay.
But Kevin's Cavalcade of Foods. And
Yeah.
you know who made this for me?
No, I do not.
Our sweet cousin Carol.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, Carol, you're the best. I love this. And basically, she's such a crafty little crafter.
Yeah.
So she took 2 towels, 2 like kitchen towels, and put them on this. And because when you're in the kitchen, you're always wiping your hands on something. If you have an apron, that's great. But if you don't, and it's like you don't know how handy this is,
Yeah.
and then you throw it in the washing machine.
Right.
And it's good to go again.
Good.
So
Good idea.
yeah. So I don't know if she's like, I don't know if this is her thing at the craft shows now that she's doing it.
Yeah.
But she embroidered it and everything for me. So, anyways, I love it because it's from Carol.
Yeah.
And it's actually a very handy thing. Okay, so here we go. So you can see, I wouldn't say it's like, again, let's compare it to something that would be considered more of an Italian dish. It would be very saucy.
Yes.
This, you can see, there's sauce on it. Oh, I'm getting I had a little bit of a crunch.
Mm-hmm.
But, you're getting the cheese, of course, and the meat, and a little bit of the tomato. But what you're really enjoying is the taste of the pasta.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, Ralph's not here today. Normally he'd take a bite out of this. But I want our food friends to know that I'm not like hoarding this, that my brother will get a nice big piece of this when we are done. And I have to tell you, what a great episode, because Wally, this has been a total all in the family here. I
Yeah.
had my sister working the camera and then my brother. So how much better could that be?
Yep.
So thanks for just stepping in.
Happy to
when
do it.
Mary Ann had to leave.
Yep.
I appreciate it. And I want to say thanks to all of our food friends out there for spending some time as we made this Maltese baked macaroni. And Wally, a special shout out. You know who watches every episode?
I would say Uncle Bob.
Uncle Bob. And this one's for you, Uncle Bob.
Yes.
So God bless you, and we are we're going to eat it in your honor. How's that?
Yep. And if we had the money, we could just mail it out. And what's that called? The same day service.
Same day service. Yeah, we could send it COD.
That's right. Right.
But anyways, we got to get Uncle Bob up here, and we'll make it for him in person.
Yep.
But anyways, it's all good. Thanks to all of you for spending time. Remember, cavalcadeoffood.com is the website. And if you like these videos, please share, like, and subscribe. And I will look forward to seeing you again real soon here in the kitchen studio at Cavalcade of Food. Until then, take care, everybody. Bye. Thanks again, Wally.
Bye-bye.